Good morning. Today I want to talk about the baby boomers, which is my generation. Now, we really had a very simple life. In 1969, I was making about $300 a month. I bought a house on my VA loan for almost $9,000. I want to say an acre, but I think it was a half acre. So it was built in 1910. It had 2 bedrooms on one side and the bathroom in between and doors from each bedroom going into the bathroom. And then on the other side of the second bathroom was a laundry room where I had a freezer and washer and dryer. Then the rest of the house, a huge, huge kitchen where you could put in a table and chairs and eat in there. And the next room was just a huge open area, all wood floors. Beautiful. It was just beautiful. I mean, it wasn't expensive. It wasn't in a great neighborhood, but the interior was quite beautiful. And the huge area was our living room and our dining room if we wanted it. So what does it look like nowadays for a 2-bedroom with 1 bath? Something like that. You're looking at $400,000 to $500,000. My son and I looked at one, and it was $480,000. Very similar. It wasn't built in 1910. It was built in the 70s. It was $480,000. The salaries right now, I'm high school, not college educated, so I had a regular income, just like today. If I made $20 an hour times 40 hours, that's $800 a week. That's $3,200 a month, less taxes. Say that's $2,500 a month versus my $300 then. So let's look at those numbers. So if we look at the numbers on a house, it went up 2,800%. 2,800%. That's how much a house went up. My wages were about $300 a month. Say they're $3,200 a month now. At $20. That doesn't necessarily mean you're making $20. My wages went up 1,200%. Not quite even half of what a house is. Then gas. I don't know if you've heard of gas wars, but in the 60s and 70s we had gas wars till we ran out of gas. We had to wait in line. And normal gas was 25 cents a gallon. And at a gas war it was 19 cents. I'm going to put an average of $4.59 here in California of gas. Maybe I could lower it a little bit more. But it went up 2,500%. Wages are 1,200%. And our car. We had a 1965 Chevy Camaro, paid around $5,000 for it. Similar, not exact, similar car, not as pretty, is used average around $50,000. So 1,000%. It went up 1,000%. And I'm going to say 1970 to 1923 was 53 years. Our wages are nowhere near what everything else is going up to. I'm really not understanding why the percentages are so high beyond wages, but wages is falling far behind. But I'm only showing you that simply because I want you to see how simple the time was. We didn't have mobile phones. You know, we had that old black phone. You'd pick it up. It was heavy, but you could use it as a hammer. You could. Then we got the princess phones, which were lighter. And we had phones on the corners, you know, so phone booths. It was a very simple time. I don't know how many things you guys can remember, because most of my audience is very close to my age range. But I walked everywhere. My husband and I bought cars. Well, he had a car. We had one car for a long time. And then finally I got a car. It was all beat up, and I forget how many miles. It was an old Buick, not a Studebaker. It was a Buick, I think. $500 I paid for it. Just lasted and lasted and lasted. But we broke free from the 50s. They were so prim and proper, and we were total opposite. Not everyone was a flower child. Not everyone used drugs. Not everyone was wealthy. You know, I had to work for my living. Therefore, I wasn't in marches and parades and riots and all the other stuff we did. But it was a simple time. I was talking to somebody about this. When they were talking about going to the moon, I just couldn't believe it. I said, why? Why do we need to go to the moon? What's the point? There is no point, guys. Why are we spending all of this money going to the moon when we should be taking care of our poor? Even in the 60s, where we're talking about taking care of the poor, there were so many poor people. Well, they went to the moon. And they put up satellites. And now we have phones, mobile phones. Everybody can have one. They're very reasonable. You know, you make a monthly payment. We have social media. Good and bad on that. Because they're satellites. So was it a good move in the 60s to go up to the moon with all the innovations we have from the satellites and all they've learned? Trust me, I'm not a technical person on this at all. Are we better? Are we better off? I don't know. Because we used to. Many of us would raise our own food. We'd have a mini garden. I had a mini garden at 19, and I had corn and tomatoes and beans. You know, the typical vegetables that I would freeze. I would go out and pick strawberries or raspberries or blueberries from the bushes, wherever they were. They were everywhere. And you would just pick them and make jams out of them or freeze them yourself. So, are we better? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I do know I was living in the best era I have seen of my lifetime. Maybe there will be better ones, but that was quite an era. We had so much fun. We were pretty naive and innocent, really. But boy, did we have fun. And it wasn't expensive fun. It wasn't fast food restaurants. Maybe there was one side that was. But we had genuine fun for very little, if any, money at all. Going to the drive-in theaters, you remember that? I remember getting popcorn for like 10 cents. I would go to McDonald's when they had a huge sign. This was in, I want to say I was 12, 1959. I saw my first McDonald's, and it said, 1 million hamburgers sold. That was a huge sign then. They were so proud of having sold 1 million hamburgers. Huge signs. And the hamburger was 15 cents, French fries were 10 cents, and a drink was a nickel. 30 cents. $10 now. Let's figure that one out. It's really hard. I know that each era has its own time and place, but I truly believe the baby boomers had the best era of any generation. We had the best fun, the cheapest things. Now, we didn't make a lot of money either, but some people did, you know. When they made the computers, you know, then you got Bill Gates. That started a big thing. And Steve Jobs. It's all in the Bay Area and where Apple is. I remember all of it coming up. I remember hearing the story about him in his garage, but he had a huge building by the time I was interested, because I was on the other side doing my own stuff. That was an exciting period. The first generations of friendly users. It was friendly to the users, easy for them to understand. Not like it was earlier when you had to learn Cobalt. I'm just reflecting on New Year's Day, 2000, I was going to say 1924, 2024, of what my past was like. And it was pretty fun. And it was pretty exciting. And we didn't have a lot of the nonsense we have nowadays. Some, yes. We just didn't have it. It was a very fabulous time. And I'm sorry, this generation and the next to come will never know about it. You have a happy new year. And I'll see you next time. Camel.